let's give Saturday's Daily Puzzle on chess.com a shot. This one's called Second Knight Encore. It's white to move. Give the video a pause and try it yourself if you feel like it. Cool, so definitely thinking about jumping this knight in here. The puzzle's called Second Knight Encore, so it kind of makes me think I have to lose one knight before I make something happen, and this looks pretty nice. It's definitely my initial thought process. The pawn's pinned. The rook has to take that, otherwise this is mate. So if I go here and the rook tries to not take, the only move black has is there. And then this is just mate. So the rook has to take. After the rook takes, I'm definitely thinking I'm going to push the pawn. Oh, wait. No, if the rook takes, isn't this mate? Wait, is this just mate in 2? No way, right? No, second knight encore. There's no way. So am I missing a move? If I go here, the pawn can't take. If the rook takes, this is checkmate, right? What's going on? This can't, I mean, that's definitely not the puzzle, right? I must be missing a move here. Check. Am I blind? Oh, this is not, the queen's on this diagonal, so that's not mate at all. Okay, so the rook cannot take, and the rook has to not take, and the king goes here, and then what is it, like this or something? I gotta get my queen out of here. Yeah, probably, and then I probably have an open file here. Okay, so check here, check. I'm thinking check here. Check. I think the rook would have to take that. I don't know if this is the line or not, but so rook takes, and then I'm thinking I probably slide here. I got to get out of the way for this knight, it seems like. Is this going to work? Check here. Check. Rook's forced to take that. Maybe check here. And then either the queen or the rook could block. And then check. It's so hard to calculate. Okay. This has to be the first move, I think. If it's not, I'm just like running down a rabbit hole. I'm going for this move so I can visualize it. If I'm wrong, I don't even want to do the puzzle anymore. Okay, so I'm right about this. Now, I'm wondering if this is the second move. That's going to force the rook to take. The rook absolutely has to take that. And then I'm thinking I probably give a check on the H file. But I don't. There's now like two pieces that are coordinated that can block. My knight is looking at the square. If I could get, if the rook was here, so if I take, check, and the queen blocks, I can sack the queen because the two knights would be checkmate in the corner. So if the queen goes first, if I can get the rook here, so if we trade these pawns off and I get the rook here with no queen, this is mate. I feel like this has to be the line and I'm having a hard time calculating it. Check. It forces the rook to take, so that's a forcing move, which is good. And then queen here, I think, or here. Like, I'm confused why it would really matter where I went, honestly. Is it this? I don't know. Okay, I'm like kind of really taking stabs. I'm going on feel right now, and it's not really the way that I'd like to solve puzzles, but it's the way it's going today. So now I'm really feeling like one of these moves. I feel like my knight has to get to here. Is really what I'm feeling like the end of this puzzle is going to be. And I just have no idea why it would matter which one of these moves I made. Oh wait, but the king's going to have this square. Okay, so I'm totally wrong about if the like this would not be checkmate. So I was like kind of running these moves under false pretenses. I do kind of still feel like it's got to be one of these two moves though. Okay, why would it matter? I want to. So now I'm thinking whatever piece blocks I can take with the knight, and then I think this is like the crucial move, and I can't tell why. Or maybe it's just not these moves at all. Maybe the fact that there's two moves here that seem equally good is the problem, and I'm just completely wrong about it in general. What is the difference? I'm having a hard time getting off of this. If this isn't it, what else could I do here? I feel like I just want to stay closer. I don't know. Is this it? I don't know. Okay, it is it. So the queen sack. I mean, now I can take the queen, and this is mate. Wait, yeah. So why did this happen? Wait. Oh well, I'm not checking here. Yeah, I'm not checking. So, but it still seems pretty good. Ooh, wait, no, this works because if the rook takes, this is mate, and the queen can't take, and the king can't move. So this is just mate. But why did the queen go back? So I got lucky on this one. But this is checkmate in 2. The rook's going to be forced to take, and I just take the queen. I got this one right, and I don't understand why. Okay, so let's analyze. There's really just that one queen move that I don't understand. The rest of the moves we're forcing. Okay. So yeah, so I said the king has to move here because if rook takes, it's mate. So the king has to move, and then I check with the pawn. The rook had to take that. Its only move because the king couldn't move at all. And then this is the move that I was confused about. So what? Maybe hopefully this will help me understand why this is bad. Rook h7. So why is rook h7 not possible? Oh, this. That's mate. Okay. Okay. Yep, got it. So this threatened the other rook. It threatened two different mates. So the rook can't block here, or else I can just checkmate here. So that's why the queen had to block after I went to the square. Okay, now I just understand the puzzle. Missing that one little piece. Force the queen to block. Beautiful. All right, let's run that back. All right, cool one today. I got this one right and sort of accidentally. I was missing one small point. I understood most of the puzzle, but there was one move that I didn't really see why it was the move. But the puzzle starts with jumping your knight in here, and the pawn's pinned, so the pawn can't take. The rook can't take because this would be checkmate. And there's only one other legal move on the board for black, and that's to move the king. So the king moves over, and then you got pawn takes, which is going to open up the h-file and sort of make things interesting. So these moves I saw and looked pretty good. The rook absolutely has to take this. There's no other legal move. So the rook takes, and then I was really stuck between these two moves. I figured it probably had to be one of them, and I couldn't figure out why one was good and one wasn't. And the point is that if you go here, the rook can't block, because then this would be checkmate. So this is the move in the puzzle, and it's going to force the queen to block. That's the only move that isn't going to result in immediate checkmate. And after the queen blocks, you've got this spicy little knight sacrifice. And the point is that the king can't move. So again, a piece has to take. The queen can't take because it's pinned, so the rook has to take. And then after the rook takes, you hop right in here, and this is checkmate, defended by the knight. There it is. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.